Welcome everyone to Hostē's Short-Term Rental Intel podcast number 19. We're here today with Emily, our onboarding manager, and Jorge Zarate, who is our marketing manager. We are currently in a beautiful property of ours. It's a 4-bedroom home in central Colorado Springs. 4 bedrooms, a beautiful backyard with some mountain views of Pikes Peak, so we've nicknamed this property Skyview. So today we'll be talking about everything marketing, merchandising, and everything related to that. Jorge has been handling all our marketing for quite some time. Internally with Hostē, we do kind of a two-prong attack. We have a media company that we work with for some of our marketing, and then we do a lot of our marketing in-house. So Jorge, welcome to Hostē Short-Term Rental Intel podcast. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. It's great to be here. I'm excited to talk some marketing with you guys.
I'm excited to hear it.
Well, give us a quick background of how you got involved with Hostē, what you've been up to. You have a very cool background in some of your own projects and marketing. Give us a quick background, and then how did your paths cross with Philip with Hostē?
Yeah, so actually it's really interesting because Hostē was looking to expand out to Arizona, and that's kind of how I came across. Hostē, I met up with Philip through his cousin Matt, and he told me like, hey, we're thinking of going to Arizona where I am at. And so we started out here testing to see if we were going to expand Hostē into Arizona, and obviously we decided to focus in Colorado, but that was kind of how I got involved with Hostē, was because I was going to help out with the market in Arizona. And so now I'm going to Colorado since we're going to be focusing in Colorado only. But yeah, my background is I've been in real estate since 2007. It's when I was licensed here in Arizona, and I've been doing a variety of things. From just your typical sales to doing home valuations for some of the iBuyers like OfferPad and Opendoor. And in my experience when I was building my real estate business, I basically focused a lot on the marketing side of it. So I built my entire real estate business through advertising online, like Google AdWords, social media, Facebook, and things like that. So that's where my background comes from, and my experience in marketing. And so now I'm helping build out the marketing campaigns and doing all things marketing here with Hostē.
Excellent. That's great. You have done some really good stuff to help us out with our onboarding as well. So I've been happy working more on that with you, but also you've been helping out with the business development as well, and guiding that, or driving the interested homeowners towards us for different areas in Colorado, right? How have you been able to assist with Killian and the other business development manager, Craig, with some of their ongoing reach out?
So I think as far as reaching out for owners, it's just been that. I guess a good way to start out, with my philosophy on marketing, it all boils down to becoming a customer-centric business. So it's always going to boil down to like, how can we provide the most amount of value for our clients? And in this case, what I like about Hostē is that it's really a partnership, kind of, where it's not just about the owners, not just about the guests, but it's really all. It's our guests, our owners are our guests, and even our team members are also our guests and our owners. And so really what we're building is an ecosystem that is beneficial for all parties. So we want to have properties that our guests are showing up and having a good guest experience. And these are properties that anyone on the team will want to go and be like, hey, I want to go stay at Skyview and look at the amazing views from there. And then have some of our owners be like, hey, I see you guys have these other properties. I want to go stay at that one as well. And so it's just like almost like a community, I guess, where, the more successful we are at building all three tiers, it's just good for everyone.
So this is interesting. So you're talking about 3 tiers. as in terms of marketing. This might be the same for other industries, but in the vacation rental industry, we're marketing on one side to new owners for owner acquisition to manage their vacation rentals. We're marketing to guests to stay in the properties that we're managing for our owners. And then what would you say the third one would be? Would that just be business presence overall online?
So I think the third one, it would be like the team. I think that we need to also do marketing for the team, because if we can get, if we get everyone on the team to have the same vision, right? It's the same vision, right? So we're innovating. We're basically improving all of our systems, and it's how it works. It's like, okay, there's synergy when we create a good customer experience. Our owners make more revenue, and when our owners make more revenue, we can expand our team and grow our team. And as we grow and expand our team, we can also have more resources to create a better guest experience, and then that cycle just continues to repeat. And so to me, marketing, it's okay, what's that customer experience and how do we communicate that across all three tiers?
Let's start with owner. So owner acquisition marketing, and then let's go into the guest, because I think the guest marketing, what we're doing for merchandising and getting into the nitty gritty with that would be the most valuable for a lot of people. But starting with, one of the things you did at the beginning was kind of our lead funnel and helping with the marketing and branding this. Our owners are our guests and our guests are our owners, guest focused, owner centric ecosystem that you're talking about. So what are you doing in terms of online presence and helping, specifically myself, and I know this, but for listeners, acquiring new owners and the messaging and the branding that you're pushing out there to new potential owners?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting because we do have a little bit of a presence here, but for, other people who may be looking to, grow a short-term rental property management business, I think really what it boils down to is just understanding, who your client is and what is it exactly that they are looking for. So one of the things that we've been doing is we have, so we have our website. So obviously there's some SEO, search ranking, but we also do some search engine marketing. So paid, keyword marketing, like on Google and social media. And basically we're just putting ourselves out there as like, hey, if anyone's looking for someone to manage a vacation rental property, then we're showing up there. And our messaging is really it's basically painting a good vision on what is it that we do as a company, because I like to differentiate ourselves from a property management company, because we do a lot more than manage properties, right? We have the entire staff to all these teams basically coming together to create this, it's almost like a network of owners, where it's not like we're just taking one owner and, or a few owners and running their properties, but really it's the more owners that we get, the more systems that we can put together. And the benefit for the owner is that they're going to get a turnkey system where they can basically just be hands off and then just allow the system to basically do the work. And that's what I mean. Like if there's owners, I know there's some owners that want or like to be involved with their short-term rentals. If they want to do that, then they're welcome to come in and be part of the team. But overall, it's the system that we're working on, and so that's kind of like the vision that we're putting out there.
Yeah, this ecosystem of hospitality. It's you have a tricky job, because a lot of marketing when it comes to new owner acquisition is about education on the vacation rental industry and what it means to have a turnkey vacation rental management company. That's, you had said, we're not a property management company really, it's a hospitality ecosystem, essentially many hotels across the large geographical space that we manage, maintain the guest experience. So in marketing, it's always this balance between how do we get out this message of taking care of guest communications, dynamic pricing, machine learning on revenue management, a property care team, a guest concierge team, hosted experiences. How do you bundle that all up in one quick blurb for owners. So you have a lot on your plates in terms of educating on the front end for marketing for new owners. In terms on the back end, the merchandising and the marketing to guests, some of the A/B testing, some of the categories we've done with mountain stay getaways, hot tub getaways, family getaways. Can you dive into that? And you get really excited about this stuff, so kind of nerd out about it. I love to hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I personally do enjoy the marketing to guests, because it's really about understanding who your client is, and obviously, like, the more that we learn about who are our guests, the more that we know, how well does a property perform, which is, I think, like, really good information for owners. Part of the education is for them to know, like, hey, these are the people that are staying at the property, and here are some of the amenities that you may want to have to cater to them. So I think it's all really important to tie it all together. When it comes to, like, guests, there's so much that goes into marketing, because we're really dealing with the entire experience from pre-check-in, from the moment that they come across our sites, our properties, all the way through their stay, and then post checkout. What's the entire experience? So that's basically what we look at. And so I guess we can start off from the very beginning, right? So when people come across our properties, with marketing, obviously there's like the initial, like the first impression, like what are the pictures that that they're looking at, the titles, and so obviously from the internal standpoint, we actually do this with, Feed helps us out with that side of marketing. They do our media for us. They do an amazing job with this. They have really good pictures. And that's really important, right? Because that's kind of like the first impression. And then there's the description. So part of that, for me, it's like, okay, as I go through, I'm going through and putting myself in the position of, if I were to be a guest, am I getting all the information that I need? Right. And so there's a lot of optimization that goes into that. We have good descriptions, but if we have properties where we get a lot of inquiries about a certain topic, it maybe means that, hey, we missed a detail that's important to people. And so it's really just a constant improvement of things. But really what we're trying to do there is, we want to, in the description, we want to paint a clear picture, almost like a descriptive, vivid story of what the experience is going to be like for the person, right? It's one thing to talk about the properties, like, here's a 3-bedroom home with mountain views, this and that. And it's very different when you actually write almost like a story where, like, hey, imagine yourself waking up, having your morning coffee with mountain views. And if the guests can actually see themselves experiencing that vacation just by looking at the listing, like, that's already creating an experience for them. And that's just with check-in, and we basically do that throughout the entire process.
Right. You've been going through some of these listings that we've had for a while, and reading the marketing tab, reading the summary, the description of each home, and even looking through all of the pictures. And have you been able to gain which properties have been rated really well? I mean, have you seen something that is drawing in our guests, where they see one picture and they're clicking on that and they want to see more? Have you come across anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's actually a few examples, and obviously there's properties that stand out more so than others. Just to think, I guess, of an example, like Po Oasis is one that stands out for getting really good reviews in general. And so when I was reading through the description, for example, there were certain details within that property that I know when I'm reading. So the reviews are really key for marketing, because it's direct feedback from people. That's where people tell us, like, hey, what are we doing right? Where do we need to improve? And in that property specifically, I remember it was a lot of really good feedback, but one thing that was missing out on the details there was, people were looking at the pictures, but they didn't realize that it was a guest house, and that there was another property nearby. And so I think that this is part of, like, marketing, is managing expectations. I think it's very important, because just by adding that into the descriptions, like, hey, this is a guest house, there's a property, but you have this place to yourself, there's privacy. I feel like that removed a lot of that, because people now know that, hey, they know exactly what kind of product they're getting. And so when they're showing up, they're like, yep, the listing is exactly as described. And that's one of the things that I look for when I go through each property is, are the people showing up to the house, and are they getting what we say, what we're advertising? Or, is there like some sort of discrepancy? Because I think that's really important when it comes to marketing. I can write a description and oversell the property, but then if people show up and they're like, yeah, this is not exactly what I was expecting, and it's not as good as we made it sound. I think that can also cause, a negative experience, and we want to create the best guest experience possible.
Real quickly backtracking, because I think you just kind of glimpsed over it, and it's important. Actually, what you're doing, you are with groups of properties, you are reviewing the reviews. You're going and you're looking through commonalities. We've even exported commonalities in reviews and feedbacks onto spreadsheets, and property managers and people out there doing this, this is important. You have a direct feedback loop on the product that you're providing guests. So, Jorge, you're going through a lot of these reviews, and you might, a silly one is you got 3 reviews that can't find a pizza cutter. Well, maybe it's time to update the listing, get in touch with the property care team, get with the owner, just take care of it for the owner. It's that constant feedback. So when you're going through and you're scanning through these reviews, what are some of the steps you're taking from that? You're seeing commonalities, you're seeing maybe, and not issues too. It's just like, hey, 99% of this is golden. How do we get it to 100%? It's grooming the listings up to the next level.
Yeah, so this is part of what we do here. With the team is we're just keeping track of all of these different details, because we have properties that they're doing well, and then all of a sudden we start to get reviews where they people start saying like, hey, a new set of pots and pans would be good. And that's one thing is, sometimes you're doing your day-to-day thing, and you think that everything's normal, but you forget that there's going to be wear and tear on properties. And sometimes the very first time that you hear about it is on reviews, because it happens a lot that sometimes a guest will stay at a property and they don't message you, right? They don't tell you like, hey, we need new pans, or the pots are kind of scratched up, but they will leave you a review saying that, and that may be the first time that you find out that, hey, there's something that you need to improve on the house. And so that's key, right? I mean, if you're managing one property, that won't fall through the cracks, but if you have if you're a property manager and you have multiple properties, that's one thing that can be happening that you may not be aware of, is people are showing up to a house and there's a recurring issue that they're not telling you directly. People are not complaining about it. It's not big enough for them to call the property manager and be like, hey, I think this needs to be fixed. But they'll say it in the reviews, like, hey, the house was great, but the chairs in the backyard were, the loose were wobbly and loose. And they didn't tell us until like the review is their way of telling us. So that's kind of like the stuff that we're out there looking for, and make sure that we catch all of those things before they become recurring issues.
I think that's a good point. And to you can be inspecting these homes. You can have your property care managers, your team leaders, depending on how you structure your organization. You can have them out there frequently checking these properties, and they may see the pots and pans and maybe there's another month, or maybe those, we can, maybe another 90 days, those will be fine. But it highlights the importance of internal communication. Last month we had Simon Lehman, forgive me, Simon, with AJL Consulting. AJL Consulting, thank you, Emily. And he oversaw an organization that had 48,000 vacation rentals, and we did a lot of consulting work with him. And one of the key things, which is it's always kind of obvious, is communication. You have your property care teams going out and inspecting these properties, and they might see that issue like pots and pans, and it might be on their list. Like, okay, in the next 90 days or something, this is going to be something that needs to be replaced. Let's work with the owner. Let's just get it taken care of. having your boots on the ground folks also communicating with your marketing team, because they might see that, and on your list it might be like, okay, now that's mentioned on an internal review and internal feedback, and your marketing team and your guest experience team can be giving direct feedback to your property care team and vice versa. And you continue this ecosystem of hospitality, which your marketing doesn't just start, like you were saying, Jorge, with the pictures and the booking. The marketing is an ongoing, it's a very fluid process with each and every home and almost each and every guest.
Mm-hmm. I can see that a lot, that Jorge comes to me with some feedback, and it is, where can we put this information and how can we make sure that our property care or the home liaisons are aware of it, and then who needs to be talking to that homeowner, and where can we keep this ongoing list that, hey, I mean, the pots and pans maybe were mentioned in one review. We're not going to jump up and go get new pots and pans, but if we're seeing that pattern over time, then that's when we may want to take action. I also love it from the standpoint of you sharing that information with me as an onboarding manager. What type of pots and pans or what type of patio and back porch furniture can I recommend to a new homeowner that can be longer lasting through the wear and tear? Or I can set up that expectation that from the beginning, these pots and pans that you're purchasing now, just know after a year or maybe even 6 months after continuous use, we may need to replace it. So letting them know that we may need to continuously invest in new amenities and make sure that it's kept up with.
Yeah,
to keep the expectations that is listed in the marketing tab and the summary and the description for these guests coming in. So I do enjoy it a lot. Again, yes, our communication is our number one, or one of the number one, and then the other one is our number one asset is trust.
Trust,
right?
Yeah.
Jorge is helping us out develop that trust with those guests. Reading that expectation on the marketing, the description of the listing, and then the guests trusting us when they get here that everything that is listed in the home is certainly in the home.
It also, too, a big thing we've talked about in the past, and a big thing for Hostē is we also, part of the marketing, part of the Hostē experience is a standardized professional hospitality experience in the vacation rental that you've really only seen brought to the industry by companies like Marriott in the hotel space. And so making sure that when a guest is checking in, your marketing is the guest experience and the guest experience is the review. So it all just has to be very synchronized all the way from start to finish. But I think one thing we forget about, because we're doing it day in and day out, not everyone is out there using channel managers and property management softwares to assist in their marketing. And so a lot of people think that this is the AirBNB industry or this is the VRBO industry, and they forget that those are just billboards, very powerful billboards, but those are just billboards for your vacation rental. And so a lot of people may have these homes just marketed on one or two of these booking websites, which are called OTAs, online travel agencies. But Jorge, would you touch kind of on what we're doing? We're marketing these over about 50 different of these booking platforms, some of which people have never heard of. And occasionally we even see a new booking come up across the new latest and greatest booking platform, like recently Hostē. It's been around for a while, but now we're seeing more and more bookings come up on different booking platforms. Can you briefly touch on, how we're pushing these out to all these different online booking? That's a powerful arm of our marketing that we sometimes just breeze over because we do it. It's what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think it's important for people to know that, as powerful as AirBNB and VRBO are, we don't ever want to become too dependent on any one platform, because there can be a time where, like, hey, if something goes down with one of those sites, then your entire business can be out. And we've seen it happen a couple of times where, like, they make a decision that doesn't benefit either owners or the guests. We just don't know. And so that's why we like to have multiple areas. And so obviously there's the common ones like Airbnb, VRBO, there's Expedia, Travelocity, and some of these other ones that we use. But in addition to that, we're also doing our own direct booking campaigns to where we're putting ourselves out there and having people book directly through us, through our site. And I think that's one of the more powerful things that, anyone that has vacation rental properties to start building their own list, their own customer and guest list, which is, the other way that we're also marketing is as, we have guests staying with us. We have our email marketing campaign to where we're looking to get repeat clients. And that's why guest experience is so important to us, is because we want people who have a good experience so that they want to come back and stay with us.
Well, Matt, actually, that reminds me, I'm shamelessly going to plug last week's podcast with Simon Lehman again from AGL Consulting. This is a thought leader in the vacation rental industry. Hosted numerous fireside chats at the VRMA, Vacation Rental Management Associate in San Antonio. And on our podcast from last week, so please, folks, go listen to that. He said, I might not be doing it service, but in a nutshell, the future for a vacation rental management company is not further dependence on the booking platforms. It's the responsibility of the vacation rental management group to let the guests book the first time through a booking platform like VRBO or AirBNB, but it's the future, and it's the responsibility of the property management company to make sure that guest is a repeat guest that comes through their own booking platforms. There's some companies, this industry got started, the marketing was in the back of magazines with a picture of a home, and you called in and you booked and they wrote it down on their calendar. It's evolved since then significantly. So the marketing's gone from magazine catalogs, from my understanding, before my time, to now, numerous powerful channel manager, online travel agency booking. And so some of these companies don't even use Airbnb.com or VRBO.com. Now, these are some of your travel destination places where generations of families have been going to travel in that one destination for, their great-grandfather, numerous generations of travelers, so they just rebook. But it's the responsibility of the property management company for the future to take the first-time guest in their home that stayed for the first time in a vacation rental and convert them into a repeat
exactly. I mean,
guest.
Why do you think that somebody is comfortable continuously using one platform? Maybe because they feel like they trust it, or that it's familiar to them.
Familiarity.
But if that property management company could get the familiarity, could gain that trust,
yes,
to help them feel safe, and that the customer service was immaculate and the home was clean, the home was safe. I mean, of course, they're going to come back to you directly and want to work with you. So, absolutely. But
trust, again, just building trust with the homeowner, with the guest, all through marketing. Jorge, if there was one thing you could tell either guests or owners, homeowners who have vacation rentals that you'd be hesitant to say publicly, what would it be? Advice. What's some just raw advice? I wish owners, or I wish guests, or.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm pretty transparent, I guess, like even with marketing for owners, obviously we're all human beings, and this is one of the things that we have to do with marketing is, we got to promise, like, hey, if you bring our property, over, it's penny that value, because obviously an owner is going to want to have us do all the work, and if they can get it done for free, right, that's basically kind of like where marketing kind of like has to like bridge that gap to say, like, hey, we're not just managing a property and doing a little bit of guest communications. Like,
we're not professional cleaners, right? We're not a cleaning company. Yeah.
So it's like, hey, we have like an entire team doing pricing, checking for events. We have, our maintenance team, our cleaning team, our marketing team. Like, we have all of these different people working together to where, like, if you wanted to do that on your own, that's your time. Like, how much is your time worth? And that's kind of like the messaging that we have there for owners, because in order for us to create a really good guest experience, I mean, imagine like a single person trying to offer some of the things that we offer, like a in-home like wine tasting, a chef experience, yoga, right? So these are things that you're better off like partnering up with a group of owners and having this is what I love about Hostē, is that it's providing opportunities for other local businesses like Bailey, who does our wine tasting, and other people like that, to also come into the ecosystem and grow with us. And so if they can see that value, that, hey, it's not just the property, it's not just the guest, it's not just Hostē, but it's the ecosystem, that if we all come together and build it, it's good for everyone. It's good for the community, it's good for the owner, it's good for the guest. So that's basically kind of like what we're focusing on and what we're building. And so hopefully we're doing a good job at communicating it.
Absolutely.
I think so.
Well, wonderful.
Sure. I can't wait to have you here in Colorado, Jorge.
Absolutely.
I wish you could see the view that we have right now, but we'll see you shortly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on today.
Yeah, and everyone out there listening, thank you for tuning in to Hostē Short-Term Rental Intel Podcast with Emily Farmer, myself, and Jorge Zarate. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful day.